a certain incident that has taken place, just very, very recently. In fact, it was either today or yesterday. And perhaps many of you have been made aware of, this particular video where, subhanallah, one of our sisters from New South Wales, who was a muhajjiba, who was a woman who was wearing, the hijab and was dressed according to the Islamic attire. So she was in one of the cafes with, some of the other Muslim sisters and so on and so forth, and she was heavily pregnant. She was heavily pregnant. In fact, according to the news reports, as far as we've been made aware, she was about 38 weeks pregnant. So very close to the time when the child would be born. And subhanallah, while she was sitting, there was a man that approached and started speaking, for just a few seconds or something along those lines, and then started assaulting this woman who was pregnant, meaning actually throwing punches in the face and so on and so forth, and then stomping on the head. And so it was quite sickening. And it was pretty hard to watch as well. It was pretty difficult to watch. That one of our sisters, it's not only because it is our sister, but if it would happen to anyone, basically it was a very sickening video. It was a very, very sickening video. So obviously when it is one of our own Muslims, then of course it is closer to our heart. So subhanallah, according to the authorities and according to the initial reports, this was, incited by hatred of Islam, by Islamophobia. This was a racist attack on this poor woman, and it was completely unprovoked. It was completely unprovoked, as per the reports. So, subhanallah, the reason why I mentioned this is because, number one, whenever even a small incident happens to any of our Muslim brothers or any of our Muslim sisters, firstly, we need to understand the importance of reporting it. Even if we think that nothing much will happen, we still need to report it. Why? Because it becomes a statistic. Because it becomes a statistic. And why are statistics important? Because tomorrow, if the government wanted to pass a law in our favor, in the favor of Muslims, to protect the rights of the Muslims because they might be abused on a regular basis or frequent basis, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not escalate this situation even more. If that were to ever happen, then they would rely on statistics to understand the importance of it. And if there are only like 5 out of the thousands of incidents only reported, so 1,000 incidents happen but only 5 are reported, then what can the authorities do about it? Nothing much. But if all of them are reported, if all the 1,000 are reported, or 10,000 or whatever it is, if all of them are reported, then even though nothing happened with regards to the perpetrator, but at least it was a statistic, and therefore this is very, very beneficial to protect our rights. This is only one of the benefits, or a major benefit nonetheless. Right? So it is important, inshallah, that we report any small or big incident, small or major. We still need to at least report it, make it a statistic. Just make it a statistic, that's it. I know it is sometimes inconvenient, it is very difficult. It's very inconvenient. But just make it a statistic, because inshallah, we never know in the future, it will be in our favor to protect our rights.